Hello everybody, this is Josh, also known as Fatal Fantasy in Discord. I am a Catalyst demo agent in Phoenix, Arizona. I have recently started a Mercenaries Chaos campaign based on the rules out of the Mercenaries Core Box that comes with the Kickstarter. I am creating this video to assist my players as well as anyone else online who's kind of looking for an explanation of this or just trying to get an idea of what this looks like. I'm making this video to assist with the post-track homework, for lack of a better term. What is that? That means how do we pay for and track our repairs, rearming our ammunition, things like that. So I'm going to pull up some record sheets here. I went ahead and just pulled up, I recreated my damage that I received in this game in flet sheets. And I also have a copy of my Mercenaries contract PDF with all of my negotiations factored in and everything like that. So as we can see, my Centurion did not do well. I failed in this track. I was not able to secure my objective. We had an unfortunate circumstance where we had some lucky hits that broke through the rear armor on the Centurion and crit this LRM bin. And because we had an XL engine, Centurion drops dead on the floor. Now, the cool thing is, because of the way the repair rules work in this GIS system, this mech is still something that I was able to drag off the field. In fact, I had done enough damage to my opponent that we made a verbal agreement, which is perfectly allowed within the rules as stated in the booklet, that we both were allowed to leave the field. I was allowed to take my Centurion, which means he did not have the opportunity to salvage it, which he turned down anyways. And in return, we basically called it there because I had already crippled one of his mechs, and he did not want to pay for any more repairs as he was significantly heavier than I was. And then on my Catapult, we just have a bit of spatter damage here. He was for the most part sitting in the back and lobbing ERPPC shots out. Now, here's what we need to do. First off, for my players, this is a form-fillable PDF that I got from the MechBay podcast Discord. Shout out to them. If I remember, I will try and put a link to their Discord or invite link of some sort to their Discord in my notes in this video. At the very least, I will try and link to their podcast as they are an excellent source of Battletech news and info. Anyways, one thing to be aware of for my players, the costs that are recorded here on the right side are inaccurate. They do not match what comes in the mercenary box. I don't know if this was edited or if this was from a different source, but they do not match. Do not use these. Okay? I apologize. I did not catch that until my opponent pointed it out tonight when we were doing our homework together. So I will be going over it, and I will be showing screenshots when applicable. Anyway, let's take this from the top. So, track 1, that is mission 1 for people who are unfamiliar with Chaos campaigns, was a meeting engagement. I lost, so we're going to go ahead and finish recording that as a loss. Now, per the rules, combat pay is based on how you performed in the mission. So my opponent, because he had crippled half of my BV, and I did not cripple half of his, thus I did not complete an objective, and he did, got the complete pay, which is 150% base pay. Ignore the factors here because these are part of the things that do not match what comes in the mercenary booklet. Now, let's say we had both completed our objectives, then we both would have gotten our combat pay, which is basically our base pay. Now, this is another place where it is inaccurate. Since I lost, according to the booklet, I do not get 0 pay. I get 50% of my base pay. Now, as you can see, my base pay is 120%. Since we are playing at scale 1, the base pay matches your maintenance, which is 500 SP. But because I'm at 120%, I actually would have a payout of 600 SP. Supply points or support points. Now, because I failed in my objective and we're playing by the book rules, I get 50% of my base pay, which will be, well, technically it would be no cost, but we will get 300 as our base pay, and I'm not paying to get paid. So that will bump us up to 3250. Now, because I lost, I lose 1 rep. So that gets us down to 0 rep. Or I guess, you know what, I'll just mark 0 there because that is now the current rep standing there. Now, I'll fill in the months later. We don't need to worry about that too much. Let's actually get into this. So, this, for the record, I'll put it on the screen here if people want to pause the video. This is a bad quality screenshot I have of the Mercs booklet. These are the costs that we will be working off of. So, to repair a mech's armor, if that mech has all its locations still have armor remaining, you basically only pay its tonnage divided by 2. If you had to repair all your armor, because there are locations that lost all their armor, you pay equal to your tonnage. Now, if you had to repair internal structure and none of your locations were completely destroyed, you pay equal to your tonnage again. If you had to repair your structure and there was locations destroyed, you pay your tonnage times 2. We'll worry about the rest of these in a little bit. We're going to get to that, I promise. So, in this case, I'm going to break it down in front of us, and then I'm going to kind of summarize it in one entry on my record sheet here. So, we're going to start with the painful one, which is this Centurion. Okay? We have a few factors here. So, we lost all of our structure in a location. Once a location has done it, you don't need to count how many locations. All that matters is that a location lost its internal structure. Okay? So in this case, our right torso, 0 internal structure because the case contained the explosion in there, but it'll still destroy all of my internal structure. So by that logic, we need to repair our internal structure when we've lost a limb or just any section. That'll be our tonnage times 2. So to start, I'm just going to record Centurion, internals, cost, our tonnage. A Centurion is a 50-ton mech, which is blurred out here. I'm going to restore 1 structure just to help you see. But Centurion, 50 tons. Okay? So, boom. Our internals cost us our weight times 2. So that'll be 100. Now, I took 0% support. So this is where if you did have support points in your contract, it would, so for instance, like one of the first couple stages would be like 20%. It would reduce the cost by 20%, which means this would only cost 80. In this case, we're going to put 0 or just a dash for the coverage because we have no coverage, which means we paid 100. That puts us at 3150. Now, next, we have repaired our internals. Cool. We have a side torso again, and we have our arm back. So, where does that leave us? Technically, we'll say these bins were emptied because they were in the destroyed torso, which we have now replaced, and this bin is for sure empty because it was destroyed. That'll come up in a little bit. So, now we have damaged armor, and we have a section that had its armor zeroed out. So, if we reference our sheet here, since we have a section that had 0 armor, our right rear torso, we cannot use this top cost. So instead we have to pay our mech's full tonnage to repair our armor. So that will be 50 because we are Centurion that weighs 50 tons yet again. So we're going to do Centurion, helps if I can spell, Centurion armor, 50, no, 50, balance, 3100. Now, we're still not done because we lost all that ammo. So here's what I am going to do, both because I am realizing how poor of a choice this Centurion may have been. Luckily, we had the case. But I am actually only going to refill the 2 LBX bins. That way I still have a choice between cluster and solid shots. And I'm only going to refill 1 of the LRM bins. I'm actually going to leave 1 LRM bin empty. So we'll just mark that as fixed. So if we reference this, to rearm a unit, per ton of ammunition, it costs 10 supply. This is another thing that would get discounted by your support percentage, but I am at 0, so I'm paying full retail for this, baby. So Centurion ammo times 3, that'll be 30. No coverage, 30. That puts us at 3070. Cool. So we're almost done. We have one other problem, and that is because we experienced an ammo explosion, my pilot took 2 wounds. Now, we reference back our chart. You can heal a mech warrior for 30 supply points per wound, but you can only do that once per month. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking off 1 wound, and I'm going to put the Centurion's pilot name. You can't see it here, but the Centurion's pilot name is... No, Snake Eyes is in the Catapult. So, Polites. Since we are healing 1 wound, once again, 30 supply points. So, we are going to put 30 with 0 coverage because we don't get health insurance in this outfit. That drops us down to 30-40. I guess I should put Polites heal. There we go. Now, we are done with our Centurion. So, all in all, that Centurion, because of that ammo explosion, cost us 180, so 210 supply. So, most of what our payout went to just getting the Centurion combat effective again. That hurts. But, it's okay. It's the life of a mercenary, I guess. We still have a Catapult. So, the Catapult, luckily, did not ever take any internal structure damage, and also never lost all of its armor across the entire mech, across an entire section. It just took damage across the whole mech, and we experienced a pilot wound from a headshot from a medium laser it was. So, we're going to jump back over here, and also I dumped my machine. It doesn't reflect this because I'm using the physical sheets for the actual game. I did dump my machine gun ammo because my opponent did not have any infantry on the table, so I opted to dump it just to reduce the chance of a through armor critical ruining my life. So, we're going to put Catapult, armor, and now remember, armor, as long as no location got zeroed out, is only half the tonnage for cost. So, the Catapult is a 65-ton mech, as we can see here. So, that would be 32.5. I'm going to assume, because just about everything in this book has said round up. I'm not going to go and check really fast just for the sake of this video getting out before midnight, hopefully. We're going to assume that it goes 32, rounds up to 33. So, we're going to put 33 for the armor cost, no coverage. 33 is what we paid. That brings us down to 3,007. Boom. Now, no Catapult internal structure was damaged, so we're fine there. The only thing we need to do is I do want to heal that wound on that Catapult pilot. So, once again, 30. And since it's a single wound, we're not worried about the once per month. So, that will be Snake Eyes heal. That costs 30. No coverage, 30. So that drops us down to, this is where math gets hard. I want to say 2877 should be right. Yeah, that sounds right. No, 2977. Boom. Math is hard. Math for Marines, I guess. Anyway, the final thing from our homework phase, at least the final thing that I want to cover in detail tonight, is that I opted, because my Centurion pilot still is floating a wound, that I want to be able to, in case, depending on how I'm feeling by the time we run our next track, I want to be able to put another pilot in if needed. So, we can hire a new mech warrior for 100 SP. I do want to do that. So we're going to hire mech warrior for 100. There is nothing that covers that. So we paid 100, which drops us to 2877. Cool. So that's the gist of it. Now, I will cover a couple other things here just for what ifs, basically. So we already kind of covered what your support percentage would do. So your support would basically take, let's use a simpler example and say our support percentage was 50%. It would have paid 50 of this 100 for my internals, 25 of this armor damage, 15 of the ammo, 15 of the healing on each heal, stuff like that. Fairly straightforward stuff, just basic math. Whip out your calculator if you need to. I did not pay for any of that, and I am paying the piper for it. Now, salvage. If you are the definitive winner of your scenario, of your track, and you destroyed an enemy mech or disabled an enemy mech in some form or fashion. So let's say my Centurion was still on the battlefield. Because of it was only destroyed via the XL and the side torso, and the center torso has not lost all of its structure, this is a legal mech for salvage. The way that salvage would get calculated, I don't have the book in front of me, should be that you would take the sell price of the mech, which would be the weight times 10, which I think this one has a different... Yeah, it's different. It's different in this one, but honestly, you know what? We have the PDF. So all we would do is we can go out to the page where it is located, and I can show you really fast just so you know I'm not pulling these numbers out of my butt. So, oh wait, honestly, it should be on that price sheet actually. So, I apologize. Selling a mech is tonnage times 10. Now, the reason that it's the price of selling a mech and not purchasing a mech is that the salvage rules use the sell price, at least in this version of this Chaos campaign. So, salvage is the taking of destroyed or crippled equipment remaining on the battlefield at the end of a track. If one side completes the track, they may claim the battlefield salvage unless taking salvage is prohibited by special rules in the scenario. Players can agree, which in this case mine and my opponent did agree, that I would not fight and continue to damage him, and in return he would allow me to walk away with my Centurion. But in the event where you do not do that, you can then salvage, which in that case you would be allowed to pay the sell price of the mech. So in this case we would take the tonnage, which is 50, multiply it by 10, that gets us to 500 SP. You would take that out of your pool. So in this theoretical scenario, I would put salvage Centurion, and I would pay 500. But because I have 50% salvage, it would actually cover half of that. So it would be 500. It would cover 250, and I would pay 250, which would bring me down to 2627. Okay, or yes. Now, this did not happen in this scenario, so I'm going to backtrace that. But that is how salvage would work. There is, because this is Chaos Campaign, there is no, like, modular salvage, at least that I've been able to see. It's not like, oh, I blew the arm off, I'm going to salvage your LB10X or something like that. Other than that, that's the gist of it. That's just what I wanted to get out for the people so that we had something to reference. If there are any questions, obviously feel free to reach out. And if you are not a member of my campaign, so you're not in the Discord, you can also just reach out via the comments on here. I'm not really much of a YouTube person in general. I don't post many videos, but if there's interest and more questions want to be asked, or you want me to kind of go over how like these contracts get generated and negotiated, kind of what the general gist of this campaign system is about, by all means, I am more than happy to make some more videos if there's interest out there. I know when I was trying to set all this up, there didn't seem to actually be a lot of just how-to videos about this stuff. So that's why I'm kind of making something like this. Anyway, I hope everyone has a great rest of their morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are around the world. And I hope you get around to stomping in your mechs.